Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Edna Zhe.
And I'm Sarah Wong. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Widespread general strike against extradition bill gains traction.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam urges business and the public to rethink strike action.
And lawmaker Ted Hui receives community service order and fine over phone snatching incident.
A call for a general strike against the amendment bill to extradition laws by various businesses, groups and sectors has snowballed.
Undersecretary for Education Christine Choi says students and teachers should not participate in the irresponsible and inappropriate action. Grace Ma reports.
A general strike across Hong Kong against the extradition laws amendment bill is beginning to gain steam. A wide range of groups, unions and businesses have pledged or are asking their members to join a boycott tomorrow when the Legislative Council has its second reading of the bill.
Hong Kong on strike!
Hong Kong on strike!
Over 50 businesses and shops, the environmental protection sector and pan-Democrats have said that they will take part in the strike. Dozens of social welfare and religious organizations have also answered the call.
We are expecting probably around 2,000 social workers to come out tomorrow.
The Catholic Diocese has also urged the government not to pass the bill in haste. Meanwhile, over 1,700 members of various airline unions have also started a petition calling for them to go on strike. Student unions of 7 universities have urged all primary, secondary, and university students to boycott school tomorrow. A spokesman said they were prepared to help if protesters clashed with police. Meanwhile, the Professional Teachers Union has also called on members to join tomorrow's rally outside Lashko. The union's vice president, Ip Kin-yoon, who's also a lawmaker for the education sector, said there would be further discussions this weekend regarding a strike. But the Association of the Heads of Secondary Schools rejected calls for a school strike, stressing the importance of staying at their posts and protecting students. Undersecretary for Education Christine Choi also called the planned act irresponsible and inappropriate and said the safety and operation of schools should be prioritized. Grace Ma, HKIBC.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam has urged businesses and people from all walks of life to reconsider going on strike tomorrow.
Lam also said she didn't want to see young people placed on the front line of clashes that could be triggered by tomorrow's reading of the extradition bill in the legislature. Here's Grace Ma.
Speaking ahead of the weekly cabinet meeting, Chief Executive Carrie Lam called on the public to think twice before going on strike tomorrow against the extradition law amendment bill. Lam said rallies outside the government central offices and strikes reminded her of yesterday's violence following Sunday's mass protest. More than 300 people were arrested by police. 80% of them were under 25 years of age. Schools, parents, corporations, and associations ought to consider the consequences of their actions to Hong Kong society and young people, Lam said. No civilized society would like to see young people placed on the front line of clashes triggered by police debates, as any legal consequences could jeopardize their futures, she added. Lam also reiterated that there would be human rights safeguards in the legislation and they would be legally binding.
When the court agrees to surrender, then the chief executive could still be the gatekeeping of deciding not to surrender a fugitive offender, taking into account several factors. But the important thing is if the court decides not to surrender, even the chief executive could not overrule the court.
Lam also dismissed accusations that the government was ignoring the public.
I would not agree that we have not listened. As I said repeatedly over this exercise, we have been listening attentively to views expressed to us or in the public domain. And that's why when we started off to do this exercise,
she said Security Secretary John Lee would provide further explanation of the bill during tomorrow's LegCo meeting. Grace Ma, HKIBC.
Legislative Council President Andrew Leung says 61 hours of debate have been set aside to allow lawmakers to discuss the extradition bill. This could put the bill up for a vote on June 20th. There would also be an additional 5 hours for legislators to question government officials. As Leung finished his statement, there was some drama. He was ambushed by several pro-democracy lawmakers who opposed the legislation. They unfurled a banner and attempted to block Leung from leaving. Leung was eventually escorted away by security guards.
Police have launched a probe after they discovered online tutorials on making petrol bombs. They also vowed to step up measures to quell any chaos that may erupt outside the Legislative Council tomorrow.
The force will not tolerate any kind of violence or the incitement of the use of violence in public order events. We will take regular action, we will investigate, and we will make arrests and charge the culprit as far as we could.
Meanwhile, the Legislative Secretariat has announced that the protest zone outside the legislature will be closed until further notice. It said the move was aimed at averting any violent clashes during tomorrow's second reading of the extradition bill. The East Wing forecourt, also known as Civic Square, has also been closed temporarily, as well as parts of Tianma Park.
The US and Britain expressed concern if the fugitive bill is passed, which could risk Hong Kong's special